Hi everyone and welcome to this week's What If. And I'm pre-recording this on Sunday just because I got to get to work early in the morning. 1 second. I want to get my... There we go. Making sure I don't lose battery power. Not that I think this video would be long enough to lose battery power. And this week we're talking about Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z has got a long, rich history. I could even go into GT and Dragon Ball. That I can go to a lot of scenarios that you can ask what if has happened. So I'm going to probably go into this back to the well on this plenty of times for this series. And this one, we're asking a question: what if the Z fighters had trained in the hyperbolic time chamber to prepare for the Saiyans? Now, when looking up the information for this question, two things came into effect. One is, what were their power levels at when the Saiyans came, and two, what does a hyperbolic time chamber entail? So, with finding out their actual power levels, that's easy. That's actually all written down. Officially, Krillin was clocked in at 1,770,000. Or 70. 1,770. Good God. Tien was a little stronger at 1,830. Chiaotzu was at 610, and Yamcha was roughly at 1,480, and Yajirobe was at 970. Now, with the hyperbolic time chamber, the issue becomes, how does it work? Well, when you're not in the actual living quarters of the time chamber, the gravity outside in the dimension, as it's a separate dimension, is roughly 10 times that of Earth. Kind of like Planet Vegeta, Kai's planet, and so forth. As the deeper you go in, the more the temperatures fluctuate, the harder it is to breathe, air pressure, all that stuff. So in theory, even the gravity could get even stronger. So the farther you go into the time chamber, the harder it is to deal. The environment gets tougher and harsher, but makes it a very good location for training. So, how would the scenario play out? Well, I think, and I actually don't know why they didn't do this. It's a very good question why they didn't maybe try to do that. About a week, because I believe the Saiyans, the time period, they had about 6 months before the Saiyans got to Earth. So, and probably like the week or two before the Saiyans actually showed up, Kami and Popo would probably, say, like, we have one last step for your training. It was like, we have one last step for your training, right, Mr. Popo? That's right, maggots. You're about to do a year's worth of training in a day. It's like, what? Yeah, bye. No, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway. So basically, they would explain the time chamber that would take a year and all that. So they would go in pairs. Now, Yajirobe, I think, would actually opt out. I was like, yeah, look, unless I have some, I'm not going to be in there on my own. So, yeah, because Yajirobe wouldn't do much. He might get a little stronger, but he's really not going to try that hard for a year. So, how I believe it would probably be Tien and Chiaotzu, because they work well together, and it would be Krillin and Yamcha. So they would both go in. I don't know who would go first. Doesn't matter who goes first, really. But they would go in and they would do their training. Now, with individuals like Goku, Piccolo, Nappa, Vegeta, Trunks, basically Saiyans, Namek, anyone who's not human, because they're non-human, their physiology is different, and they progress faster at a higher rate than a normal human would, particularly a Saiyan bloodline would, which is why they got so much stronger when they trained in the hyperbolic time chamber. With the humans, they would have a lot more difficulty adapting to the 10 times gravity, I believe. However, because they were already most of them were already in the closing in on 2,000. So because they had over 1,000 power level, with the exception of Chiaotzu, they would have at least a slightly easier time adapting to the gravity. But they would still take them like maybe a month or two to fully adapt to the gravity before they could really start the training. But after that, they would be training nonstop for the remainder of their time in there. And so, therefore, I don't think it'd be a 10 times... Sorry, and my hair is just wonky. I don't think it'd be a 10 times... and I don't know what's that little spot right there. Just weird. Anyway. It would not be a 10 times multiplier on their abilities. I think it'd be closer to more like a 5 times multiplier when the year is said and done. So when that said, their overall power levels, at least the way I calculated it, would be as such. Coming in number 4 would be Chiaotzu at around a little over 3,000. He would definitely get an extreme power boost. He would have the most difficult time adapting to gravity, but because he'd had Tien there, a training partner, to help him, he would still improve very much, I say. Then coming in at number 4 is Yamcha at 6,400, a vast improvement from what he was when he showed up there in the original one. Krillin at full power would be around 8,850, and then Tien would be around 9,150. So they would all be they'd all be leagues stronger than what they were. So when the Saiyans actually come, then they meet up with Piccolo and Gohan, who are still the same. So and they show up suppressed. Then the Cybermen come. However, they all just completely and utterly wreck the Cybermen, and Yamcha survives. So when Nappa goes up to play, Piccolo has a bit of some problems. Chaozu can't beat him. But then, Yamcha comes in, and, it'd be kind of one of those things where they square off, and Yamcha goes and starts beating the tar out of Nappa, because if a Goku at level 5,000 can beat the tar out of a suppressed Nappa at 4,000, then he still beat a full power Nappa 7,500 to Goku's 8,000. Then a 6,400 Yamcha would have no problem taking on a 4,000 power Nappa. Nappa would actually be relatively surprised and pissed off. Just you bastard! And then he's like, Nappa, come on. Like, yeah, you think you had me? Then So he's not going to fully defeat Nappa, but it's going to be like, oh, you thought you had me, huh? Well, how about this? And then he goes full power, and then he's actually able to take on Yamcha, and they're fighting. He's pushing Yamcha back, but Yamcha is unique in his energy control. However, he's able to actually manipulate that orb ability, which probably would help in Krillin's dodging ability when they were training. So then they're fighting, and Yamcha's being pushed back. Then Krillin and Tien step in, and they both literally just start beating the living crap out of Nappa to the point where even if they were trying to do a false move, I think Krillin would eventually just slice him with the Destructo Disc at some point, and Nappa would be falling to the ground dead, and Vegeta, pissed, just shoots and blasts him. So now it's Vegeta versus the Z-Fighters. All the Z-Fighters are still alive at this point. Once Vegeta gets into the fray, even the strongest of them, Tien might be able to put up a fight. Tien and Krillin might be able to put up a fight, but they would not be able to really do much. Vegeta would just be toying with them. Another Destructor Disc, Vegeta dodges it, boom, smashes Krillin into the ground. And again, the reason Goku could keep up with Vegeta is because he had the Kaioken. His power was around a little over 8,000, as they say in the actual official canon. But he could do a Kaioken times 2 without difficulty on his body, which would bump him up to 16,000, which is what Vegeta's base power was. So they were able to fight on par at that point. None of these guys have those abilities. So now you're dealing with Vegeta, who's nearly twice as strong as even the strongest of them. They might be able to get a couple of decent shots in on Vegeta, but nothing they're really going to make him last. Chaozu, I think, would still kind of maybe sacrifice himself, and I think Yamcha would just bite it. But Tien and Krillin, I think, would still manage to hang in there, and I think Piccolo would manage to hang back too, because Piccolo would quickly realize, no, these guys are way beyond me at this point, and how did they get this strong? Damn it! But he would stay back and protect Gohan, even though that Gohan and would probably try. So at that point, though, Goku shows up, and Goku powers up, and is at 8,000, but he has the Kaioken, and more or less, it goes about the same for the rest of that whole fight, with the exception that because Krillin and Tien are both there, and more or less, and Piccolo, and Gohan, Goku would take less damage. He'd still probably get the same Zenkaibos, but Goku take less damage, and they would be able to beat Vegeta probably with either a Destructo Disc or maybe Yajirobe Sword or whatever. So the point being, Vegeta would still leave. And then it's the matter, they would be later discussing what they're supposed to do. I mean, they can't bring back Chaozu. This would be the first time Yamcha's died. And we only have our Dragon Balls, and maybe Chaozu's got to stay dead. But then they would probably say, well, if we try the Namekian Dragon Balls, I mean, we could bring back both Yamcha and Vegeta, plus maybe even resurrect the people who died in the city they blew up. So why don't we try that? So, and then they talk about the ship that Kami came in and while building the Capsule Corp 1. And then it becomes who's going to Namek, who's whatever. So I think it's going to be the same scenario that I actually pitched in the what if Goku went Super Saiyan against Vegeta and Nappa, except where Piccolo and Goku both go and train. However, I believe it's more along the lines of Tien would go with Krillin and Gohan, as some extra backup, train a little bit in there, so they'd all be a little bit stronger. So when they get the Namek first, the Tien's also there to have his inner power unlocked. Krillin's stronger at this point. So with their inner powers unlocked, I would actually, from Guru, I would actually say that, how did I put it? I'd say that Krillin probably overall, because of the massive power boost he got, probably comes in around 30,000, with Tien coming in at maybe like around 35,000. So when then Vegeta shows up, and however, Vegeta and is consents that there's not. I wouldn't say Vegeta was stronger. Would be stronger than them. He'd be close though, and they'd realize he'd be close. So it'd be a little tense confrontation. But then the Ginyu Force arrives. They would take out Gildo, no problem. With Recoome, it would be difficult, but there'd be Krillin and Tien could combine. I think could overpower Recoome in the long haul. So I think it's very possible that they might take out Recoome, but Jason Berta would, eventually overwhelm them. But then Goku shows up, and then that whole thing goes down. And then after that, I mean, nothing else really changes, with the exception of with the Frieza fight, Tien's actually there. So I mean, he adds a little something, and Piccolo didn't die. So, and I'd say his power was around 50, and I think the last one I did, last video, I'd say he's around 50 now, and then he'd get a bigger Zenkai with all that. So all that basically just goes down the same, with Piccolo being stronger when he fuses with Nail, and Tien being there. I still don't think they kill Frieza. I did that again. Frieza. And I say that most likely, it goes about the same. Maybe Tien even actually dies, so... And then they bring them all back with the Namekian Dragon Balls. And it pretty much stays the same with Tien, with the exception that Tien and Krillin are both, and Yamcha and Chiaotzu, they're both stronger than what they were in the series. For Yamcha's case, that doesn't mean a damn thing. He'd still get his ass handed to him by the androids, Jiro android. Krillin would be able to handle himself better, I think. But overall, I don't think it would make a vast difference. And Tien... With Tien, it's a little different. With Tien, I think he'd actually be able to put up a decent fight. Like maybe, he wouldn't be able to do much, but he'd hurt Imperfect Cell even more, like Semi-Perfect Cell, second form Cell, a bit more when he's doing the Tri-Beam attack. Other than that, though, nothing else really changes in the series. It's nothing immense, except for the fact that some guys don't die and they stand a better shot at facing some of their foes. So other than that, though, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Ideas for what ifs, who would win. Put those in the comments below, too. I get to those. Ideas for who to win. If you have something you'd like us to review, put it in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. If movie news or trailers drop, I'll talk about them, but and only if I feel I can really, give an opinion on it. Who would win this week? It's still technically December for this who would win, so I'm not certain which one I'm doing. I do technically have one last Pokemon Battle Royale to do, and that the Sun and Moon's come out, so I can't actually do that. But I'll wait for November or December to actually do that. Yeah, it's still November this month is what I meant to say. I'm pretty sure I said December, but I didn't mean to. But yeah, who would win will pop up on that day, on Wednesday. I'll probably record it. Thursday, I honestly do not know what Thursday's going to bring. I know Incarnate comes out in 1,500 theaters, but I don't know if I'll even have a showing I can see. If there's not a showing I can catch, I'll catch something else I can see that I haven't seen yet. Magic video, superhero video. Then, yeah, it's basically business as usual. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you folks next time. Have a good night.